All right, good evening. It is indeed a very, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It is another edition, another episode of Men Only. Men Only comes to you every Sunday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Kuanzia saa 2 ya jioni hadi saa 4 usiku. Thank you so much. Naona kuna watu wameweza kuchangamkia mapema kidogo. Poleni tumechelewa kwa dakika 30 na kitu. Mambo ya dunia kidogo. Najua ni weekend, mambo ni slow kidogo. Alafu basi, lakini tuko tayari. Kama kawaida, when you join, please like when you like, we get to know that you're watching us. And after that, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. This is Men Only. Comes to you every Sunday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And we are with LEVI KONES. Kama kawaida, I'm a LEVI, depending on where you want to school. Kama ulienda group of schools, I'm a LEVI KONES. And you could be na SILAS NYANCHWANI. Yes, Yora NYANCHWANI. Yeah. That's what you can have. What you want us to speak as well about tonight. Tonight's topic is going to be very controversial. So I have to start with a disclaimer that all the views given here from now to 10 p.m. does not represent us. All right, unless it doesn't represent me. maybe it represents
I'm with you on that one. I think only Silas can say views. Say his own.
Because if we want the views, the views to end at nyumbani leo. I might have to slip out. So you still want to insist that? At least for myself, the views that shall be expressed from now henceforth until 10 p.m. do not represent me and shall not represent me. And yes, tumeruka kesi mapema, maybe it represent NYANCHWANI. And the views you're going to give tonight, does it represent you?
Yeah.
It represents me.
Yeah, we must say these things.
All right, tonight we want to talk about the other woman. The other woman. Why do men feel the need to have the other woman? What is the role of the other woman in wanakuanga pia kwa relationship ama ni kwa marriage peke yake? The other woman, are they also in relationship or only marriage?
It depends.
See, marriage is a relationship.
It depends.
Like democrate.
Your wife can be the other woman to another man. It depends.
Ujaza vizuri nyacho. Alright, wamama kwanza, wamama mulale. Wamama tafadhali mulale. Nimeona wamama wameanza kuingia mapema hapa tafadhali. Laleni wamama. Wamama. Can you tell the wamama
what is the issue when we say men only and then men want to discuss, they say men don't talk. Then when men go talking, women want to eavesdrop. I don't get it.
Yeah, you know, the women always think that there's something mysterious that men are doing. That's why they followed us to the bar, to the sports ground, you know. I think we might have to reinvent men-only clubs.
They panic when you say men are meeting. There's a panic that comes with
they think we are three guys to some mischief.
Get together and say we are going to Meru for the weekend. Just to, you know, talk, reflect, you know, kutiana moyo. To ask each other how things are going, man. You know, alafu kukosa network huko. Bahati mbaya.
Accidents. Naambia kapo na wamama ulikuwa na.
Men are never mischievous. Like when men are out there, they're not up to any mischief.
Yeah, but actually
you're probably enjoying your beer, catching a match, you know.
But men are generally good people. I don't know why women think we are very bad people.
Well, I think it would be good one day to have that discussion with women present. But I do know that we have a bunch of men who have, you know, chomered for us.
Actually, the top cream of men were very few, like maybe 2 or 1%. They make it horrible for everyone. But you find like if it's women, their hearts have been broken. They're broken by the same guys.
Yeah.
Just very few guys.
Yeah.
If you go to Kericho, it's probably maybe some 10 people. If you come to Kitengela, it's some just few guys.
Yeah.
But now we have to take the blame.
In LD, like they're like 14. I know all of them.
Yeah. Gerald is one of them.
I'm not heartbreak.
I don't know Unity Homes.
Unity Homes, by the way. Talking about Unity Homes. Unity Homes doesn't have the best of reputation. You know, this girl imbo ya Sodom na Gomorrah. That is Unity Homes for you. Anyway, there's a conversation that we were having before we went live. And Of course, it has to do with men and interactions with women. And Nyachwani, these views have to go to Nyachwani. We are lumping all of them to Nyachwani. And Nyachwani was telling us that... what were you saying, Nyachwani?
It's very expensive for men to... like, dating is very expensive for men. And because women basically... like, in a relationship, men have to do, like, most of the work, especially at the beginning. And you've seen how online we have these wars that if a woman is coming to visit you even for a date, she doesn't even carry like even fruits or anything. But if you go to visit her in a place and you don't carry anything, the following day you wake up to Facebook, hey, wanaume siku hizi wako aje, mtu anakuja kwako hajabeba hata kitu yote nini, you know.
And I swing mikono.
So it's always what a man can do for a woman. It's never about what a woman can do for a man.
I don't know whether it's something you can really blame women for. Is that how it has always been?
It's a really,
you know,
and that's how they are socialized. But you see, in the past, it was good because this woman coming to her life, she used to bring her femininity, a nurturing role. Like they were caring, you know. Even when you look at our mothers, even at our fathers, even when they are very tough on you, that caring, that motherliness is there. But now, the modern woman is basically like a man. Like you enter into a relationship like, hey, ni kama tu is a fellow bro, you know. Kama ni Gilbis at one. A friend was telling me that he hosted a lady over the weekend, like on Friday. alikuwa anakunywa maji na chase na whiskey, you know. So you find like that thing that as men we want from women, you know, the femininity, the nurturing, you know, the caring part, haiko siku hizi. Like women are more or less, like especially I'm talking about women in Nairobi, middle class, you know, women who go out, you know, they are basically like men. There isn't that much of a difference.
Umekuwa mandume.
Ni mandume tu.
They're also on the prowl, just like guys.
Yeah.
Also just looking, they're hunting.
They're hunting, you know.
Yeah.
But also there's another phenomenon. You find that women these days, they hang out, you know, always with a pack of men. They say, oh, these are friends. When you chick, akona wanaume karibu wa sita wanasema ni mabeshte. Kunaendanga aje hapo sasa.
There's no such a thing as just platonic friendships. Of course, there are those men who are normal friend zone there. The ones that we joke with, they're simps. But a woman...
You don't think so? There's no friendship? Friendship, of
course, there'll be...
You had a friend with a woman you can never really want to see.
There'll always be that one, a colleague or an old friend, but generally, a woman is supposed to hang out with other women. And when you see a woman hang out with a man and that's what she likes, there's like a problem somewhere.
Do you know how many women say they cannot hang out with women?
They cannot?
Hang out with fellow women. There are so many.
Me, I don't have
all my friends and guys.
Women
I don't have any, you know, chick friends.
That's normally
we get into a lot of,
red flag. Because women normally form the best support system for themselves. Like traditionally, you'll find that women will congregate around the river during childbirth and all those things. Like a woman's best friend still remains. Like there are those functional relationships, like hang out with the man from time to time in a shida, but there are those who have made it like they're nini. I don't believe in that. It's really a very serious red flag.
I just seen someone's comment. They're saying that we are discussing women.
We are discussing, but this is men only. That's why we are here.
And it's a men only thing.
It's supposed to be a men only conversation.
So what you guys are saying is not possible. It's not possible to for a woman to just say,
actually, me, I don't
have
agree.
men friends.
Me, I think it's possible.
It's possible.
I think there are instances where there are certain people you may never see in that light of, you know, you want to bed them and things like that. And I do believe those relationships actually happen. Okay, there's a school of thought that guys are only friends because opportunity is lacking.
A window katatokea.
A window of opportunity.
Down the line.
Kakitokea hivi.
We can excuse those women who are like tomboys. You know, there are those women who are born, I think they have a bit of testosterone in them. Like, it's too much. So to them now, it's just one of the blocks. Like, she's good, you can hang out with, they like sports, they're physical and all that. There's that category. But how wengine, anytime you see them hang out with those men have probably done the thing and,
or they're waiting for a window for Shonete.
Or they're waiting for a window. Down the line, like any man, any kama tu fisi, upe fisi nyama ichungu,
I don't know.
Down the line, something will happen.
There are people who would.
And is it possible for men, for a man to have maybe just a chick friend, best? Inaweza karuko na mabeste madi mabeste.
Yeah,
even if an opportunity comes up, you never.
Definitely.
Definitely what?
Yeah.
I can't believe you said that.
The opportunities do surface, come on.
No.
You see, where there's man and female and you add alcohol into the mix, you're hanging out, down the line she might need a shoulder to lean on and you'll offer more than a shoulder to lean on, And so we live in a generation where like we don't even value sex. So even if it happened, like it's nothing, It no longer means it means nothing. So that's why you see for them it's easy to say such kind of stuff. Like for this young generation, like you can sleep with the one and just carry on. Like it's never a big deal to them. Yeah.
Okay. So umesema mwanaume hiyo ni kama Muluya kuweka kuku kama pet. Utafika siku tu.
Exactly.
Utafika siku anasema tu acha bwana nichinjeko hii kuku niambie mwili pote tukunye supu.
Ngojea Christmas.
Fupi.
I see. Well,
najua unaweza pata homa kidogo useme hii supu homa inataka supu.
I think there are many men and women who would be the first to throw their hands and say no, I don't think that's a possibility. I think it depends on just how tight the friendship is and what the boundaries are in as far as that interaction.
So what are you saying? Is it possible? Uko na best tu mwenye unajua.
So that's what I'm saying. It depends on interaction. If it's everyday interaction, they say in the case of brotherhood, familiarity breeds contempt. But in the case of sexual relations, then familiarity is the one that brings the juice towards the act. So it depends on just how familiar you are. There are those people you say hi to, you're walking into the office and you laugh, you crack a joke at the gate. You'll never go beyond that. You'll never have a drink together. You won't go on, on a nyama thing or anything like that. So there will never be more to give you any impetus to go. As a result, you never think of it that way. But maybe, like he says, when opportunity presents itself, people then begin to think differently. How many people have had, sex drunk because somebody was weeping about their husband and they were on a trip somewhere in Kisumu and the colleague just happened to be there at 11 o'clock and the husband has just called and shouted at her. And then, all those factors, they just...
They are lying.
Small bombs, boom, 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 boom.
What Levi needs to know is that this concept of women friend zoning men, this is how women operate. If she thinks that you can be of use to her in the future, she doesn't drop you off completely. She keeps you somewhere grazing, grazing because she know in the future maybe you'll be offer some emotional, financial, some kind of support. So women have a very utilitarian way to friendship. Unlike, I don't even know the kind of friendship we have, me and you, it's just there. But for women, every friendship, every relationship is very utilitarian, even amongst themselves. That's why as a woman, she can have a best friend, and then after female friendships, and I know that long lasting. If you just look around, even she's very tight with someone for 2-3 years, it goes, and then she moves on to. And of course, there are
forgets.
There are reasons for that. So most men who are friend zoned and have accepted that. Women are the gatekeepers of sex, so she'll decide when and how to give you that down the line. But for men, when in wajanja, they'll know if I don't have prospects, they drop them.
I actually agree with you because you can be friend zoned for certain things that you do that require your presence. Maybe you're the guy who has a car in the court and she needs a lift.
Yeah.
So
You know,
like, your friend zone and you kept going with the good emojis, eh? Come to me, my love hearts.
Exactly. You are just going with good like that. Come Christmas, by the way.
Kept going.
Come Christmas. I won't be so shocked if women we've not talked for more than 3-4 months. Asking me they want a right to go to Kisii. You know, it happens. So that's another. And you talked about boundaries. So this might sound controversial, but I don't think whether women respect boundaries. You can draw a boundary, but she'll keep on pushing the buttons. And you see, for most men, we can be weak when you want to. And I think most men we sort of like worship sex or something. So anytime a woman is just testing those boundaries, we just tunazitoa.
Akotuko boda anachoma immigration desk kuko.
Exactly. You know. Anyway.
So maybe we end up the discussion on women and friendship or men and friendship. What goes through the mind of a man every time, you know, maybe you have those friendships with women and all that? What goes through their mind every time they see these women, these friends women, these women friends? Nini inasonganga kwa akili? Anakanga akasema akijaribu akipush the boundaries also as you try to hint in, or what usually happens? Does a man just sit plainly and be like, oh, unibeshte siwezi hata fikiria?
It will depend on the principles that the man has. Of course, there are those good women that you want to be your friends professionally, or they make you laugh. You know, like there are good women there that you can be friends without necessarily thinking of them in a sexual way. But the men who suffer the most are the Simpsons. The guys who have hopes. You see, a woman can really waste your time. And as a man, she just needs to, as you said, she just needs to send you some stupid emojis, you know, and you just keep on hoping that one day I'll be lucky, you know. And she can even entertain for so many years, until such an opportunity comes up when now she'll, I'm sure like most men, you realize that there are women you could not access in your 20s, but now in your 30s, they are so available, like, I know them, they're going to squeeze him, you know. Because women are always gaming their options and they want to get the best there is. But even as she looks for the best sometimes is not available. So that's when now she can't get what she wants, is now when she can now reactivate that nini. So that's why I normally tell men that don't focus so much on women. Because they can really distract you and waste your time. I've had women cancel dates, like umepanga date nini mpaka saa ya mwisho on a Friday ulikuwa umejipanga, then ana cancel. Now you can really be very angry, but you have to remember that maybe she had like 10 offers and she had to pick the best. Yeah, umechukua mpaka mshwari, umejipanga. So it's very much. It's for a man to decide. It's for a man to decide what you want from women. Others, if you let women dictate, they'll just waste your time and your resources for no good reason.
And yet, you know, you said in the beginning that what we'll talk about today is the other woman. Yet men are vilified all the time. You know, for looking, you know, across the fence, for being the ones who are always in the game, being the ones who are always, you know, shrewd and cunning and, you know, conniving and always timing to get into bed with a woman. You know, the terminology, of course, the man who does not see a skirt, he cannot chase. So going by even Silas's definition, you know, Silas, you said something before the show, and I want to see whether you'll say it again boldly here. Who are more faithful between the men and the women?
It's men. It's men, like, I was just...
Kuna mtu ameangusha sahani mahali.
No, you see, the thing is,
we are good people.
The thing is, women are very selective with whom they mate. And I'll give an example. If you go to a place like Tengela, if there are 1,000 sexually active women there, they are normally serviced by maybe 20 to 50 men. Like, most men are actually what we call incels. Like, we are involuntarily celibate. Yani, labda ju umesota, you are not attractive, you are... Like, sometime back I saw a woman shove a guy like very far. Jamal jaribu kumapproach like anamguza hivi pale Beer Street in a River. Like, you could see the kind of disdain she had towards that man. So women are generally very selective, and they only date very specific men. So if you go to a university, if you go to any any place where there are men and women, women always gravitate towards men at the top. The so-called alphas is the artist, the bright kid, and there are very few at the top. So even if you went to the largest company in Kenya, like the most profitable company, if it has like 500 men there, only about 50 men get regular sex. So most men, that's why like monogamy was invented, so that other men can also get one woman
and have something.
Yeah. Otherwise, women left on their own. Like I saw today on Twitter that 80% of women who have ever lived there have given birth, but only 40% of the men who have ever lived there have been able to be fathers.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So men,
There's a solid pool of dudes who are doing all the fathering.
yeah, like all the children, like every other, like every 10 years or every generation, about 20 or 30% of men are voted out of the parental pool. You see, so that's why I'm saying, like, generally women are there are more women who are unfaithful than there are men.
Women are more unfaithful than men.
Yeah, but now the men who are unfaithful,
Doing it double time.
they do it more. So that's why we have that impression that it's men who are. But generally,
They're working really hard, so wanachoma kweli kweli.
Yeah.
Na pia wanawake also, you know, they're very sly. Women are very, I mean, it's easy to know. To see a man who maybe engaging in a relationship, you can see a man is outgoing, you can see it. But women can hide. That's why I say even your mama can cheat on you for 10 years, you'll never know. Even for the rest of your life, all your life. Women are raising kids who are not even theirs. So maybe the reason why we would say people would insist that men cheat more is maybe because you'd easily notice a man who is.
statistically, like the numbers are the same. Like I saw in America, almost 30% of men and women cheat.
Okay.
Yeah, like the numbers are the same. For those who cheat, the numbers are the same. But I still think women have more potential to cheat, as I said earlier, because the threshold for them is so low because she just needs to bring herself. For a man, there are so many considerations.
The logistics.
Economic, logistics, you know. Like in Nairobi, I said, like, the cheapest date you can have, you just maybe to buy 2 guaranas or 2 bottles of Guinness and kanyama choma nini. Like, you need at least 5K to begin with. How many men have 5K going for such? You see, men don't have options. That's what some men opt for some very...
And you know that's conservative. That's if you don't have to man a Uber.
Yeah, no, of course, after that again, of course, lazima utatumana ya Uber, kurudi, gas itaisha after 2 days, you know, so it's very expensive for men.
Kuna ile registration fee, I need 2,000 urgently.
Yeah, so kuna ile
In fact, you know,
registration.
I hear a lot of guys who say, you know what, I cannot because it's too expensive.
Yeah.
Even the consideration is just dealt a big blow by the financial position. You're just like, you know what.
But you see, for a girl, she has like 10 men who want her. So if Gerald is not game to this weekend, she can activate another guy. So
Very easily.
Like women are constantly, you know, engaged if they want. So for them it's easier. For man, there is also that thing that they are very selective.
So are we saying that we are faithful because of more faithful because of lack of resources?
That's part of the reason, like men.
It's an headache when the planning.
So, but if faithfulness, yani, again, no wonder they say that, you know, that men are only as good as how much money they are making.
Absolutely, that's true.
And when they make more, all their sins
true
come out.
colors
You know, they are now, you know, you can actually get that mama who was, you know, you can afford the 5K plus an air ticket, plus, you know, so you go all out. And
that's when men become more promiscuous as they age.
so then that does not mean that we are really as faithful as we think we are.
No, we are faithful.
We have.
We're just closeted.
Because whatever the reason
we are closeted by circumstances.
No, even those circumstances, it means you are faithful because
We'll still be faithful because you can have money and still women hate you. If you have money and you don't have game, like I know many men who have money, but even my broke self can be them to a woman. Because also money has to go with the game.
Okay, they'll have a problem with the sustenance, but the first try they'll get.
The first?
Unajua, that's okay. Sustaining the woman, let's say getting the woman, sustaining the woman is a whole different story. At least getting the woman just because of money, they'll get.
They'll get, but you see, when you have money, you also have a taste. So the women that you might want, and that those women might not want you. It's so complex. It's not as easy. Of course, there are those women that you can get if you have money, but now your type, the one that you want, might also not want you. Yeah. See, that's why we say that women are gatekeepers of sex and men are gatekeepers of relationships. Yeah, so that's how it works. So a woman will decide whether to sleep with you or not, but as a man will decide whether to date her or not. So it's 1-1.
Okay, I still want to remind you that these guys are also out as NYANCHWANI. NYANCHWANI has very controversial opinions on, of course, men and women, and he writes. He has the SEXORCISED.
50 memos to men.
50 memos.
I've been SEXORCISED. You should read it.
SEXORCISED. The first time, actually, I looked at it, I was like, hey, you know that book that you unageuza hivi?
Do you know what I did with that book? I was reading it to... I remember I was on a train. The first time I ever got it, and I was going to Mombasa, and I was reading your book.
Yeah, I remember you told me.
Yeah, and the person who gave me that, who told me, buy the book. So I bought the book and then I bought a newspaper. Do you know nilifunika cover? I couldn't read it with a straight face. Unageuza cover, unakocha cover yeye. Niko na image ya kuprotect.
Nikasema ndani ya gazeti.
Hii kitabu wewe. Nikafunika na gazeti.
I even thought it was Kama Sutra at first.
And it's not even in my house. I don't have to run into it.
It was quite graphic.
It's in my office.
It's adult content.
Wacha tapatana nayo baadaye.
It's adult content.
Yeah, so you can actually order for. How would someone order your book, Silas?
They can order directly from me. They can buy from the Nuria bookstore. There are a couple of bookstores in Nairobi that have it. Yeah, the Book Lounge in Ronald Ngala, Nuria, Longmoy Avenue. But they can always inbox me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'll deliver it in person. Yeah.
You can talk to Silas and get what your book. Also, this guy, LEVI, is also a writer these days. In my book.
The professor told me you're not a writer until you have more than one book. Alinitukana kwa book fair. I came to the book fair. I saw the books. Aliona vitabu hapo ikimba na he told me, this is the book you've written. I said, yes. He said, where's another one? I told him, this is the first one. He's like, you're not a writer.
And you're calling yourself a writer.
And you know, lots of guys were gathered over there. And he's like, you're not a writer. You're an author when you have more than one book. Right now, this one, you're just testing. Stop testing and write.
Start writing more.
So
you're wasting our time.
Maybe I'm masquerading with the name author.
So you can also order books from LEVI. There is no useless experience. A very amazing book, actually. Very amazing. It's been a while since I read a book so powerful. And especially, you know, in Kenya, watu wanakuwa na ile story ya nilianza kama jamaa sema alinunua kuku na ngoja ianze kutaga in 14 days. Kenya ndakwanga nilianza dairy farm yangu na picha ya ng'ombe. Nilianza biashara ya kuku na manyoya. So to get something that actually speaks on experience is quite something. So get your book from LEVI and also get your books from at least now, Silas, you can say books. Get your books from Silas. SEXORCISED is something that you want to read, especially as an elder and as a man. It's a book that you have to read. There's something you're mentioning as well, Silas, about the habits of women. And wanawake sasa wamekoma bro. They are other men. They are men. And you look, when you go through, if you rummage through the clubs in Nairobi, you find that over half of them are women drinking. No, again, I don't know. Just come pick a Guinness bamboo. Picture was circulating online. Women are very quickly picking up the habits of men. What is going on? Why the dynamics? There's
a joke that Kitambo women used to cook like our mothers, but now they drink like our fathers. There is a joke like that. They drink like our fathers. But we really can't blame women for that because we live in a capitalist society. And what capitalism does is that for you to participate in the jungle, you know, to go to work, to go into business, Kitambo, it used to be men who do these things. But now women are also coming to the foil. So what happens is that for you to operate in such an environment, you need the male hormone, the testosterone. So like the more a woman goes up, like she's educated, she wants to get to the top, she'll need more of the male nini to bring her males. You know, both men tuko na kaumama ndani yetu and women have the kaubaba. You see? So what happens is that now the more they try to get out to go and work, to make money or to compete in the workspace, they need that male hormone. So that male thing in them now, it comes out. So that's what makes them to drink. Because also drinking is a way of coping. So, Kitambo, we never used to understand why our fathers were drinking. But if you go out to work, the stress is in a kujanga na job and all that, at the end of the day, you want to go and chill. So there's also frustrations in terms of marriage, relationships and all that. So it's basically a coping mechanism.
Just ask, I don't know where the men are, because, like you say, I've not been on the club scene lately. I won't be. I'm no expert anymore.
You need to.
I'm no.
Just to go and
I'm no expert anymore. But I do know that from what I've read and seen in social spaces, that's probably the case that SILAS is saying. But then again, that's the same case in the churches as well. It's also the case, like even when I go to like a PTA meeting, Yashule, the women are more. I ask myself sometimes, where are the guys? What happened to the guys? Is it a revolution in every sphere? Because even if you go to seminars, I was in a seminar in Diani the other week, and the women are more. Again, even when they talk about this company who's come to represent and who is presenting, blah, 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 the women are more. And I don't know whether it's because, they say the population is higher, but then again, that wasn't really the case. Something is happening that I haven't quite put my finger on, to be honest.
I think because for men, our utility or our usefulness used to be there when, we were fathers, we were providing, we were offering security. So basically, anything a man can do for a woman, she can do it herself or the government can do it for her. If it's in terms of security, the state can protect her. Basically...
So your muscles are useless.
So we're useless. So, and when we become useless, men we disengage. There's something, I'll say that we can't deal with the female solipsism. Like, yo madem kujipenda sana, imeshinda, like, you can be a man and you can do everything for a woman, but still you're not enough. So what men are doing, we have slowly disengaged. So women don't know what to do with us. The same we don't know what to do with them. So that's when men have kept off. Like, by the way, sometimes I go to a club in Kitengela and you'll see women in their table and men in their table. Nobody wants anything to do with the other. Tunaweza leo labda unaweza pita na mmoja ama nini, but like ni kama tunakaa huku na sisi tukae hapa. So what basically we're observing is men are slowly disengaging. Because in the workplace, we're being pummeled. Everywhere, like men, like we're unwanted. Because you've created a world that is very, as you normally say, femme-centric, very gynocentric. Like everything from the media, from the church is very pro-women. So when men realize that hapa tuitajiki, you just go to the bar, drink, or you just go back and play your video games.
That's why you're watching FIFA.
At least we've been having this season has been good to us. Before we get deep into the conversation, there's a question here from my good sister Vayo from US. She's in the US. She's asking, are men intimidated by women? Are men intimidated by women?
Intimidated?
Why? We're never intimidated. That's a very wrong notion for anyone to think. We are never intimidated by women.
You want to treat that question with the contempt it deserves.
You see, any woman who thinks like that, she probably has a very bad attitude to life. And you see, women who say such kind of stuff is that maybe they are highly successful and they think that with their success, they can dictate the kind of man she wants. But as I said, like men, we are the gatekeepers of relationships. So you feel like once she's frustrated, she'll start settling for men who are weak. And a weak man will always be intimidated. So
that's actually wired to have that intimidation, but I do think that it creeps in over time. Okay. Like the intimidation creeps in. Like it's creeping into a lot of dudes. I cannot tell you how many guys write to me, for example. You have a guy, he writes to you, he says, hi. First of all, that really annoys me. And then he wants you to say hi. And then he says, how are you? Then he wants you to say, how are you?
Comes back to
and then he wants to say, you know what, I hear you have a book. Now, there's a dude even I told him, why don't you put that all in one sentence? Hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm looking for you because you have a book, blah, 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 blah. Can I get it on this particular day? That is confidence.
Okay.
That is you already out there talking like a dude. But we have got dudes have reached that point where I think over time we have allowed that, nonsense of the so-called intimidation to creep into the point that there are men now being taught how to be intimidated already. And it's a culture already creeping in. Mm-hmm. Because some of the guys I'm talking about who are doing this, they're 18, they're 19. They haven't even gone through life yet. Nobody has intimidated them. They have not yet met a female boss. But they're already like that. Who made them like that?
So you're saying, yes, men, I did.
Absence of fathers.
Some women will tell you that they're doing better jobs with single parenting.
We respect that they do a good
absence
job.
Of fathers or not, the men are working out.
But only men can raise boys. We can never run away from that fact. Yeah. A woman can do her best, provide and give the kid the best, but masculinity or fatherhood or being a man is a software that only men can install. That's why men need a father. A father figure does not have to be like a biological father. It can be your grandfather, your uncle, someone that you look up to, So in the absence of that, you'll find that you'll grow up a bit maladjusted. As a man, if you grow up, if you're raised by only your mother and you don't have like men around, even a big brother, So because it's crazy that women try to raise boys to be the men they want, and it normally ends up being very counterproductive. You know what I mean? Like a woman will try to raise this boy to be like the kind of man she'll want, but in the end it becomes very counterproductive.
The man she couldn't find.
Or the man she couldn't find. Yeah.
Nataka kuweka Jason ama Jaden mbaba wake. Aya, straight into the conversation.
From women, why are women asking us questions?
Nilimwambia walale.
This is not their forum.
Mwambia mama walale.
Mama walale such questions, by the way.
Salimia kwanza na your baba. There's a baba of yours.
But tell her that men are never intimidated by success, because female success has nothing to do with me. Male success means a lot to a woman. But female success only means well for the woman, because women don't give, like don't share their success. Maybe it's good for her and her family, but as a man, if you are a proper man, like you are a man on your mission, you really don't care about her degree, her money. Men only want one thing from women: femininity and cooperation. So if she has the money, so when men withdraw, they think that we're intimidated by their nini. But degrees don't make you, or your degrees or your money
doesn't make you a better woman.
Won't make you like a better woman. Okay. It's the virtues that you have that men want. So you'll find that they are frustrated that men don't care about their success. But that success means nothing to a man. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, let's get right in. Why the other woman?
Why?
The other woman. I saw letters. I don't know if you read the newspaper a couple of weeks ago. And that's on Daily Nation, I think. And it was letters written by men on why they had the other woman. One of them, of course, was speaking about the way what you're just talking about, abuse. Emotional abuse. Sometimes passive-aggressive, passive abuse really eats up a lot of men with the relationship. But you have these women that, for lack of a better word, maybe intimidates your space and your mind as a man. It was one. Number two, the second one was, I think there was some emotional disconnect. So this guy was entertaining this other woman, and even ended up impregnating the other woman. And he's confessing and saying, "Okay, fine, I'm so guilty. I've been doing this for a while. And instead of us continuing with this thing, maybe we break off the marriage." So why do men have the need? Why do they feel the need to have the other woman? Or why do other women exist on the side?
I think it's a million reasons. I don't think we can place it on one. Of course, there are men who are, for lack of better words, just whores. They cannot. By the worst. They're just dudes who the next conquest is just the next thing on their mind. You slept with Sally, but you must sleep with Selena, you must sleep with Penina, and you must sleep with... They are just,
They didn't have to end with Ninas.
I don't know. I was a rapper at some point. Any skills, man. Any skills. So, the Sumeskia Limbo at DMX, there was Monica.
Tanisha.
Rashawn and Laquish.
What do these women want from me?
About 3 kids. Latoya. Tisha.
I met at the ice cream parlor.
Then those were just on the conquest. Those are prowlers. It's a job. No one woman can satisfy them because I think what they're looking for is it's upside down sort of. They are hoping that you start with the sex and then you build the relationship, then you find out that woman was just like the other one, because women will begin to asking you hard questions about life and what are you going to do and blah, blah, blah. So they dump that one, they jump onto the next one. And it's hard to get out of that cycle once you get into it as a guy because it becomes part of your modus operandi. Then we have those guys who, they meant to be faithful.
So kuna wanaume tu.
They started off walianza na roho. But then certain other vices in their life led them to teleza. Maybe they have gotten, they drink too much alcohol, it inhibits their judgment, or something else they partake. So one bad night outside there, and and not even to blame the women at all. They're just out, they happen to see another girl, something just happens, and boom, they find themselves, they lalad with someone. They regret it, but it happened. Okay. And then we have the dudes who meant to be faithful, but then got mistreated. And we hear a lot about those ones nowadays. Because at least on that part, not too many men were speaking out before. I think our fathers would not have told us that maybe our mothers were being hard on them. I think in this particular age and era, it's reaching a point where dudes can be able to speak. And we have a huge constituency of those kind of guys who are going through hell literally at home and are just looking for, not really looking, they were not looking for a let out, but it happened. Those are the guys who end up with a botch because she spoke to them very softly in the house, or sympathized with the situation because she saw how Mama Watoto was treating the guy. They'll end up with, the barmaid because they went to the bar and she happened to listen to them. They'll end up with the barbershop girl, They'll end up with somebody subservient to them because that particular scenario
brings out the man in that.
Brings out that that kind of thing. Off the top of mind, I can think of those 3. And I think there are many more in terms of this. Silas is the guy who wrote 50 memos to men. He can give us a few of those memos. But I know that deep down, away from the jackal type of men, when the men want to settle down and they want to get married, most women think that men do not have a fantasy of the type of wives they have, of the types of wives they want to be, and the type of marriages they have. All of us men actually can tell a good woman, even another guy's good woman, you can tell that guy has got a good BB. So we have always said, even sometimes, hey, so-and-so, akona wife mpoa sana. What makes us say that? There's a certain thing that men are also looking for in the marriage. And sometimes, when it fails to happen, then some of these things begin to go, asanda.
Naanza kwenda haywire. Hey, Silas.
I think for me that
naona ndugu yetu kidogo anatembea kando ya barabara ya shamba ya mahindi. Aingie kwa shamba vizuri.
I'll speak for those men who end up becoming unfaithful because of the mistreatment at home. When I speak to most men in the bar, they feel like they're not appreciated at home. Because sometimes when our wives settle in marriage, they tend to take for granted your contribution in that marriage. So when you go to there and you find there's another woman who's willing to listen to you, so that's how now most men try to get another woman. At least someone who can listen to you, I keep on insisting, like someone who's feminine. You'll find that the women, like let's say like the clandays, the mistresses, they give a man that value of femininity. Like the man can be hard, he can be a man in that relationship. But now when you go into many marriages in Nairobi, it's like you're basically 2 men in a relationship. Like your wife is constantly competing with you. And men, we really hate competition. Women think that men are competitive, but men, we like cooperation. That's even our sports, like most male sports. They are team sports, rugby, football, American football. Like men thrive where there's cooperation as opposed to where there's competition. But now we find like in a typical middle class marriage, you're constantly competing in your marriage, whereby you're supposed to complement each other. you'll find like for those women who give their husband, like they respect them, they love them, like, and the husband feels like I can go home and feel at peace at home, chances of the man straying, zinadidimia, But when home becomes a very hostile place, now you want to find a place where you can just vent. That's why you find that sometimes even men do more for the mistress than they even do for their wives. Like you'll find mistress anaishi vizuri, anaendesha gari mzuri, and a man can finance and fund that lifestyle. But is that frustration at home where you're not acknowledged?
It's buying peace.
It's buying peace, literally, yeah. That's when a waitress, like in Man About when I talk about that, like sometimes you can sit with a waitress, mpige story naye mpaka like unaridhika kabisa. It's not even sexual or anything, just good vibes, So those women who still have that nurturing role in them, like they can nurture you. Men tend to connect more with them.
But when we say this, you'll find a lot of dudes are told that, that's being a wimp, that we are wimpy, like the men of nowadays wanataka wapembelezwe, waambiwe pole, waletewe maji, wapakwe mafuta, waambiwe dadi, meza chakula, wapapaswe hapa kwa throat. Those.
Yeah, there is that argument, but I've seen women, I've seen women try to peddle it. But to me, we're really not blaming women for this, because it's easy to think that it's women. These women they have been raised like that, and they find themselves in this jungle. So it's not really their mistake that they're not feminine, because they were not raised to be feminine. Like in the past, to be feminine was just natural. So, but now we live in an environment where maybe femininity is not a good thing to have, because if you want to compete in the workplace, in business, in everything, in a city like Nairobi, then the soft side of a woman does not serve you. But you realize that women who are still feminine, like women who wear dresses, women who they still win. Like
you made me think of something. It's surprising. What you're saying is so true. That imagine in a world where women spend more time in salons, more time doing their feet, their nails, their lashes, their what? There is less femininity.
Yeah, there's less femininity.
Even with all that.
Yeah.
Like they've worked so much on the outside.
Than what's on the inside.
But the inside.
Yeah.
But it's software and buy.
Yeah, software and buyer. But also women, the modern woman really struggles to know what the man wants. But men, our needs from women have never changed. And even for women, their needs from men women still want a man who can provide, protect, and do all those things. And men still want the same things that our mothers and our grandmothers had. All that now the world has changed, that women are not able to give those. But there's still women who are very feminine. And those women, I think, they're those now who are winning big, like, who are winning big in terms of relationships. The women who don't have problems, then there is the relationship. She doesn't even have to make her nails, like the women just, even with short hair, with the natural nails and everything, this day.
Wanatokaga na sweatpants na Crocs.
Yeah,
sweatpants na Crocs.
And they're still winning. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. Right. The man here that we have, why do you have the other woman? Or why do you have the need to? Do you see the need to have the other woman? But why? Please let us know. Gogan Biji, the show coincides with Richard Cooper and Andrew Tete show. Good evening. All right. Silas, women having some testosterone. Does that mean we have alpha women?
Yeah, they're alpha women. And you see, like the way biologically, even us men, we have estrogen in us. Only that now it's in very small quantities. So, but you find the environment where you are is what determines which hormone you need the most. That's why you find like men who spend more time with women, wanaanza kuwa na tabia za kimama ama za kike, like back in the village, like my old man could never allow us to be in the kitchen because he knew you'll start picking those habits of gossiping, those bad nanny habits. So the environment that you are in, you'll find like if you go to the military, you'll find men are very masculine, even physically, because it's a very masculine environment. So the same thing with women, once a woman has decided to go corporate, to follow her educational dream and everything, she's going to operate in a space that formerly was owned by men. So for her to participate in such an environment, just look at all the women, like women politicians, look at Hillary Clinton. There isn't much difference between her and a man because that environment is in a very toxic way, very masculine, you know. So that's why we do have like alpha women, and you can see all of them, they share traits. Like when you look at women at the top, they're more or less like men, sometimes even worse. When you get the top, because she has to strip herself that feminine inside of her for her to compete, because it's a very murky world, you know. Look at how the likes of Nani are being insulted every day. What's her name? Mama Miradi.
Nani.
Do you think she can thrive in an environment like that if she decided to be feminine? That she just has to come out and be Roju so that she can deal with those insults and everything, you know.
So is there a place for being that Roju out because it's work and you have to be that? And then when you get home, you know, you lay down the gauntlet. Or does it become now a part of you? It becomes it's everywhere. You're not just doing it because you are fighting to be somewhere in the space of the working, whatever work you're doing in the male-dominated field. But now it's coming back home with you, maybe to the man that you have.
Most women will struggle to find a balance because what I normally say is that we are the casualty generation because this is the first time women are finding themselves in this situation. It's the first time as men we are finding ourselves in this situation. So maybe in the future, women will try and find a balance. My friend Jacob Elliott, in his book Unplugged, he talked about changes. Kitambo used to take like thousands of years to move from one age, like, you know, the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, from the agrarian society, the industrial society. Like, it used to take so many years. But now, all these changes they're talking about, they have taken place under 70 years. So women like now, there's still the nurturing side in them, but now it's being taken away. So we're in that zone where everyone is trying to cope. And that's why I say, like, we shouldn't blame women or blame men, because upper to in place to Mejipata, and all of us are trying to deal with that evolutionary.
The ones listening, and hopefully women have gone to bed.
I hope mama
Now we should ask ourselves, now what should we do
to fix that?
You know, because we're the ones who are facing this world. It's not about to change, It's not about to change. I think the women will only get tougher, even as you know, as the days go by, even as we go into the new ages. By the time we will be in our 60s, we'll be talking very different things with guys who are in their 30s, and the kind of
it's going to be a completely
pressure they're undergoing.
Different world. But I don't think they'll have if you look at what has happened in societies like Japan, Korea, even in the West, men will keep on disengaging. Because there's nothing in it for them. So you only want to live for yourself. Play your golf, play your video games, you know. Like in Japan now, we have men who are almost in their 30s and they're virgins. You just disengage.
You know, I hosted a guy who does vasectomy here in Nairobi. A doctor friend of mine. And I hosted him on my show, and we were talking about vasectomy, which was a very strange topic because of, you know, men don't want to hear about it and blah, 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 blah. But there is something he told me that I really took quite seriously. He told me that he does his percentages very well. Dr. Charles, he told me 52% of the people who do a vasectomy in Nairobi today are men under 30 because they don't want kids.
Really?
In fact, he has to make them sign, a disclaimer. Then they have to wait for 1 month to think about it before he can even do the vasectomy. It's like, go think about it, go talk with your people, go ask yourself, do you really want to do this? A guy comes back and says, you know what? Yes. Let's do the do. I don't want kids. And you know what the number one fear is? The toxic, relationship with that baby mama who you do not, you had the moment with, but you don't want to do the life with as far as raising a baby is concerned, because of just the amount of toxicity some baby mamas will give some guys just because they have a child with them. You know.
It is an understandable fear that men are having, because when you look at the dating world, it's become very much, as I was telling you, men are really frustrated. We are frustrated because the world still expects you to do the men things. The things that men are supposed to do in a relationship. But we don't ask women to do even the list. That's why women, when you go to Facebook or social media and you ask a woman what she wants from a man, she can do a list from here, from here to Kericho, like a long list. But you ask her, then what does a man get in return? And there'll be some BS like, companionship. Women don't even make good companions. That's why you see men like bonding with men. So that's what really frustrates men. Like if you're a man, you're a high value man, and you're looking for a woman to settle with and do life with, in a place like Nairobi, it is becoming increasingly very problematic. Like I'll understand why they'll be frustrated, but going as far as a vasectomy, pia. I was telling you, like in every generation, a certain percentage of men are normally voted out of that fathering pool, fatherhood pool. Ni hiyo tu inaitwaje ile selection ya Charles Darwin,
evolution,
natural selection. Watu wanajiondoa tu, unaona. They
just want to get it.
I'm wondering they're not competitive.
When you're talking about, that whole thing of companionship, to some degree, I can see what you mean, because I imagine, in terms of the friendships of men and friendships of men with women, you find guys, let's say the three of us, we go on a road trip. You're driving, we're sitting in the back, you miss a turn. Tumefika Nakuru, where you are supposed to turn, unapita fupi. Unacheka, Gerald, kwa nini umekuwa mzee nini? Do that with your mama.
You'll know you don't know.
You cannot even see. It's a very different. It becomes a small spark can become a great argument. Yeah. And I don't speak that exclusively to just some women. It's generally a lot of women tend to be cagey on the relationship and a bit, on edge all the time. Like maybe it's like they were given the brief to kick the fun out. But yet these are the women that men have to deal with. So I wonder, when we talk to men, because so many women are like that, those alpha women we're talking about, so many of them are in that position. Even the ones who are not yet alpha women are aspiring to be. Because the women they admire the most, you look at the women that are most admired, I can't name many of them. But even in this country, if you look at the women that are most admired, they are all alpha mamas. And you can see there's an iron lady-ish type thing going in them. So, but should the men run away? There are some ladies who have accused us here of being waoga. I think nimeona statement hapo kuna mtu ametuita coward.
Anasema sisi ni waoga.
Sisi ni waoga, sijui nini. Ama ni kubattle kule ndani na hawa to break them down, because where I come from, wanasema hata simba mkali anawekwa mimba.
Utiwa mimba. Hata simba na ukali wake utiwa mimba.
Levi, most men are men are very simple creatures, and men are satisfied with so little. And sometimes we can also offer so much, because as I said, as men we are limited in the sense that when you're a giver, you become limited. But when you're a taker, you're a receiver, you can receive as much as possible. And that's we talk about, like, women being hypergamous, in that if she dates Silas and she feels like Silas is not good enough, she'll go to Gerald. If Gerald is not good enough, she'll go to Levi. On and on and on. So men can't keep up with that. So you'll feel like you're a man, hata umelipia msichana mpaka school fees. Msichana anamaliza anasema mimi sitaki umshamba.
You're not my type.
You're not my type. So those frustrations are real, and men are listening, like all these stories we're sharing online. Men are reading and they're like, okay, kwani ko hivi, So that's when like men are trying to disengage from that. And you see, nobody's teaching women to be feminine, teaching women to be good people. As you said, like all those iron ladies, we are training women for work, to participate in those big jobs and all that, but we are not training them to be good wives, to be good mothers, But now when men start to disengage, now they start calling us names. Now they want men to be trained to be men, to be good men and all. That's why we have all these things like men only.
Mama wewe Silas.
Mimi?
Mbona hiyo statement?
Umesema unachukua mama Silas.
I'm Silas hapa, he hates women.
Pana. Any man who says our truths No, we don't take to women. Come on. Saying the truth doesn't mean that.
Bruce anasema panelists, personally, I see a future come 30 years where marriage will be a bygone. Since men are disengaging, we'll only need a woman to give us 2 kids and life continues.
Yeah, like from 2040 onwards, people have predicted we're going to live in a post.
But then if you do that, you go into
marriage
society. Renting. Huh? If you do that, if you say you only want to get involved, because I think that the guys should try. I think that it's not, all hope is not lost. You know, there are still good women out there. And I keep on telling, the men, you just have to find a way to fish one out for yourself while they still last, while stocks still last.
I saw some statistics like in America, almost 40% of young men no longer want to be fathers. Deliberately, like they don't want to be fathers. I saw it somewhere on Twitter today.
Even here, they don't want to be.
Even here, like you've talked about the vasectomy thing. You don't want to. You see, one thing that women keep on confusing, men love families. But you only love a family as long as you're with it. Now, when you talk about like now co-parenting, that's not an ideal for men because the evolutionary urge in us is to guard our seed, the purity of your family. That's why you want all the children to be by you, like, these are my children. These are my biological children. So when now that one cannot work, men cannot exist in a space where, like in open relationships, we can be polygamous, but we can't be in a situation where now you have children and then the mother is out there. We're not developed to that point. We're still primates and we are animals. We have to accept that. Maybe in the future our children will be different from us.
Okay. But also back to what you raised, someone is saying, ways that when men speak out their opinions on relationships and maybe the opposite gender, the women tend to think they are idiot or we should not be saying the things that we say. Well, what is the data that backs that SILAS doesn't?
SILAS said last time a very controversial statement. That he said women don't like hearing the truth. To some degree, yes. I think a lot of men can attest to the fact that, it's very difficult to say something you don't like. To a woman and for her to accept it easily. Many times it's, you get backlash, you get, you get pushback, you get questioned. There are even some who will say, but you made me do that, you made me say that, that kind of thing. So it becomes a difficult thing for men even to have these conversational spaces. So many men would rather be quiet because, quietness gets you a night of sleep. Tomorrow comes and, for a guy, logically speaking, you tell yourself anyway, it's not a do or die story. Tomorrow we wake up, we battle new stories, and that goes on. Unknowingly, that piles, It piles, and in the back of your mind, either one of two things happens. Either one, you lash out in your manhood. One day, your wife just says something, or your girlfriend says something, and you find yourself, you have hit her, and if you do that, then you are branded violent, and that's the end of you. Because anything beyond, once the slap has gone out, nobody can even say, oh, that mama was really pushing that guy. The only word out there is, so-and-so is violent. End of story. Or you end up in a relationship. If you end up in a relationship again, and it becomes, you get busted again, the same applies. The only thing that comes out is that dude stepped out. It's just a guy. You know how guys are. There's no story about what happened. So the man is caught between a rock and a hard place. You keep the peace, you keep the peace, you keep the peace. And that's why this depression is creeping so much on dudes and taking them to places where they should not be going because they're not having these conversations. Yet they should. I think it's okay to actually develop, even as a guy, start developing an ability to have a hard conversation with your woman. Where you don't like something, say it. Apende, asipende, akatae. But say it. Maybe somewhere in her thinking, she will realize this guy maybe was right. Or maybe she won't, but say it.
I think what frustrates men is that most men are not willing to lose their women. But as a man, the most important thing that you can teach yourself is that you can love all you want, but you must be willing to let her go.
Okay.
So if you're willing to let her go, it means now you can make certain concessions where, like if she crosses this boundary, then she has to go. But the problem is that as men, we are the true romantics. Like we love in totality. We don't love in... You see, women they love something in you. No one can love you like in totality.
Unconditional.
It's either your money, your looks, like she loves something.
Seriously?
For real. Yeah, that's a fact.
That's a terrible statement.
No, that's why like a woman will marry you, like if she's an economic refugee, she'll marry you for money, pesa ikisha naenda. Like you see, to them, this is not even personal. Like, si hata nakuchukia akienda. It's just like whatever she wanted in you. As I said, like they have a very utilitarian way to life. That's why like almost 70 to 80% of the divorces are initiated by women. And it's not like because men are violent or infidel. In fact, most men who are divorced, they are divorced for very flimsy things. Go out there and just talk to men. You'll find like they made some very simple human errors. But they were left because if she wants to leave, she will leave. So most men, if you're willing to let her go, and then you have some standards, then it means you can keep her in check. Because the female nature is very chaotic. They just like testing waters. Kukuvuruga too, like, So as a man, if you don't know, like you're being taken through shit tests, it becomes very... Like, because you're just being provoked. We talked about men becoming violent. Because violence from men is normally physical. I saw some Nigerian preachers say that physical violence is a response to emotional violence from women. And we've lived with women, and you can really be provoked. So you must master your anger.
Yeah, but even saying that is said to be excusing violence. That's the other thing. Now you can't have that conversation with guys because the moment you want to bring that into perspective, then it looks like you're condoning. You'll be asked, so you're accepting. And I'm bigger, and I'm chapa,
we are very anti-violence. Like personally, I'll never lay a finger on a woman. Yeah. And that's why I try to teach men that you need to learn like how the female nature is. And that's why all this literature they're putting out there, for the longest time, people assume that we don't know the female nature. But you see, like in the last 5 or so, 6 years, men have come out with the real data, real science, and they are unpacking what female nature is. And when they unpack it, it's not they're saying like women are bad people. Like some of these things, they are biological, it's evolutionary. When women are doing those things, it's not that they're doing them because she's a bad person. So it's up to you as a man to learn these things. So that if you walk home, naongea vibaya, unajua hapa, she's testing me, maybe you want to go back to the bar and have a beer and come back on, you calm down. Calm down. And another thing that really frustrates men, Gerald, is we don't have standards. But as a man, if you have standards and you know what you want, then you'll not tolerate bad vibes from a woman. But that's something we keep on telling men, like you need to work up your standards and go for a high-value woman. Someone who's honest, someone who's hardworking, someone who's kind, and someone who's loving. But we see that most men, we don't want to do the work and work harder. We just like the low-lying fruits. So that thing of not having standards is what now puts men in a very bad place.
Okay. All right. And the question is, sorry, even as we went towards the tail end, how do we not get into the other woman thing? And that's a question from Machandi Mosonga saying, how not to get into such issues? Men should ensure they marry the right person and be equally yoked with your wife to be. They should take their time. Don't marry because of societal pressure, just because your folks are putting pressure on you, etc.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I think he's spot on the money. First of all, is why are you getting married?
Okay.
Too many guys I keep telling nowadays, take your time. There's no statute of limitations. So,
take your time.
On when it should happen and,
Court a woman. Date for
get
long.
to know someone,
like,
really, by
get
the way.
to know someone. And remember, you don't marry someone to change them. You can never change. Human beings are very consistent. But where men are disadvantaged, women can perform these things. If, for example, she meets you and you are a man she wants, and you say, like, I don't like a woman who drinks, she can even quit drinking temporarily. So that's something also that...
But guys have done that. Guys have gotten saved. Watu wameingia kesha.
Very few men can do that.
Men are also really bulls.
No, but very few men. No, but very few men. I know, even men who changed their religion to Islam, but those are very few. Like if a woman is marrying a man who drinks, you know for sure this man will continue drinking unless something happens down the line, he stops. If a woman is marrying a man who cheats, chances are the man will keep on cheating.
Yeah, especially if he took you from someone else.
If during dating, you tolerated cheating, it means
you are the other chick.
It means you'll still have other chicks. So men are fairly very consistent with who we are. But for women, of course, for different reasons, they have to adopt certain like even playing that wife thing. If you are a high value man and she thinks you're the right one, she can become. That's why women say that we only submit to men who are willing to lead. Women say such kind of things. So that means that they know, like kuna dema anaweza kuja kwangu, aoshe vyombo, aoshe nyumba mpaka nipikie. She'll go to another guy huko Kawa West ama Githurai, and she won't even lift even
Netflix direct.
That's where now men are a bit disadvantaged, and sometimes you don't really know how to read women.
I don't know. Is it the process of maybe, I don't know how to put it. Is it that maybe everyone is growing as they get older, so maybe they have now irreducible minimums that they cannot do, because if you ask the average guy to even just look at the excess of their mama, you'll find that those exes did some real nonsense that you cannot.
You cannot try.
You cannot have pool. And you even want to ask her. So there's, I don't know whether it's time that because when you bring that up, because you can't really bring that up, let's say in a relationship, because then it looks like maybe you just want to be as bad as the ex. But there seems to be, as the progression continues, the people then begin to have their irreducible minimums of what they cannot take anymore.
Yeah.
And I think it's both sides, the men.
Yeah, standards,
and the women. And I think men should be able to plug in deeper, because apparently, for us men, while women continue to plug in deeper, and as you say, they grow, because they're learning, they're reading, they're doing all these things, the men are losing the tent.
Women always had standards. Women always had standards. What you call hypergamy basically is women wanting the best for themselves because they have that responsibility of a child, and a woman will want the best for the child. And so it's now that maybe actually women have started lowering their standards. Kitambo, before a woman becomes pregnant, she really used to kukupima mpaka ajue kama utaezana na hiyo kazi,
No, they're not really lowering SILAS. They're just accepting because they know they can handle the baby without you.
They can handle the baby without you,
like
but how many single mothers can really take care of a child out here? Sometimes you assume that these working class women, they represent all the women down there. So, but anyway, women always have standards, and the moment men start having standards, the world will change. So for now, men are a bit frustrated because maybe they can't access sex. So tuna pesa, the economy is really doing a number on us. So we try to accept very trashy relationships because that's where we are. But I always tell men, whether you are broke, whether you have money, you must have standards.
Usiogope standards.
No, have standards. Even women like men who have standards. Once, there's that thing they say in the manosphere that women set standards for simps and then for betters, and then they break the same standards for alpha. So every man, you need to have an alpha mindset. Not all of us can be alpha, but you need to have that alpha mindset.
Or at least even pretend to be one. At least if you don't have to pretend to be one.
Even pretend to be one. Yeah.
For the alpha, the standards are broken.
Saka Hodhia, watching from Kitengela, has the panelists to touch on men and the sidelines of co-parenting. Thanks for your good work. Thank you. Sena wako says, Gerald, uliza hao ebo panelists tutatoa wapi mabibi? Swala nyeti. Leva. Tutatoa wapi mabibi?
No, there's still good women out there, but most good women are not... it's not easy to notice them. Maybe they're not online. Maybe like...
That's
yeah, for real, like you see, good women are invisible, eh?
So you're saying, you just trashed the whole Tinder group.
Good women, don't ever take a woman from a dating site, by the way. Don't ever take or date from a dating site.
At the Facebook?
Yeah, like, and of course Facebook can get to know someone, but anyway, women who are like on dating apps, if you got her there, she'll still remain there. Okay. Because she's still gaming.
Ama atakuwa anaangalia soko all through. Yeah. Ama anaangalia classified.
Atakuwa tu anaangalia tu bado, like bado atakuwa kwa soko, because like there are good women out there. You need to go back home, maybe you need to travel, like get out of your comfort zone.
Wenda ushago, tafuta kienyeji.
No. Don't go kienyeji.
And then have the relationship. You know, that's the other problem. Too many of these relationships start with sex first. So you met, you went, you dated, or you met, you shagged, or it was 2 dates in or 3 dates in, and then you shagged, and then now you try to form a relationship based on the action, which is really the reverse way around, you know. And I think it has denied opportunities to people to get to know each other, to culminate in this shag. So now, because we shagged, now we've got to know each other, and that now that's just dangerous. And maybe because you shagged in Kericho and both of you are from Nairobi, so tomorrow kwa road trip, so unaitwa Ann, unatoka Kisii, or nini. Before you know it, you're in a relationship you really would have never have been in. Because you started with this, you know, one night stand thing, and now you must reinforce it with an element of relationship, because you are a good guy at heart, and you just want to look like you're a nice person. And I think that's where the men will be. If you're looking for a good girl, you cannot start that way. You can't start that way.
That's a SILAS anasema wako online.
No, you see, the thing is, we've become lazy, because right now I can log on to Facebook and I can get like 20 women there.
Scroll.
Na kuchat nini. To get a good woman, you must also do the work. You must get out of your comfort zone. Go to your ask your aunts for referrals. Like nikutafuta, like any nikutafuta, like ask
who are these aunties giving referrals? Let's say last
ask for referrals, like seriously, like go to the village, like you can't just sit at home and say that now you're looking for nini. It's a lot of hard work by the kutafuta. Yeah.
Na ndio kweli au madem wazuri ni kama wakwangi online.
And then you can't go to church anymore.
No, they are invisible.
It's a terrible thing.
Wapi kanisa?
You can't get them in church anymore.
Oh, in
church.
Kwanza SDA hapo utachapwa character development ingine. No, for real, like, I'm an SDA, and kitambo it used to be like, if I get a Kisii girl or a Kalenjin or a Luo or a Luya who is SDA, chances are like that marriage would have worked. But today, I think the church creates a very toxic environment, whereby the church is very materialistic. So women in church are extremely very materialistic. Like you're more likely to find even a good wife in a bar than even in church. Because also there are those women who have done their thing in the world. So they have retired to the church to try, maybe they can be lucky there. So they're not really in church because they want to be saved. They're good people. They are in church just performing, like as I say, they are just performing. So, like you really have to know what you want and go for it. So sometimes it's easy, like because in church unasema hapa church mademote ni wazuri. like there's a guy at home by the way from church. Bibi alikuwa anamchapa bana like
toka usema mchungaji napigwa.
Yeah, and then now peeling the layers of hypocrisy is also the other problem, because in church people tend to put the very fakest foot forward,
fakest faces,
the fakest ones. Unfortunately, there people are there praise and worship.
But I understand, nasikia watu church wanakuanga busy sana na shughuli.
Yeah, take them the same way and also just date, because some guys are there because they're masquerading, some guys are there because they're desperate, some guys are there because they're the ones who are truly seeking and genuine.
Kidogo sana.
Very big.
Very
small
soko
pitch.
imekataa.
You know, so now you're there because of all these other things, and then we have a big pool of men who are from the past because there's that imagination that was brought up by our fathers and our forefathers that good women are in charge. So when the woman wants to be found, you know, that toxic mama who has done a lot of nonsense on the streets, she retreats there to wait
For the Lord's work.
in the lair for, you know,
I think,
like a queen bee for them to come.
another thing to remind men that really frustrates men, and I hope we can get to talk about it more and more, not just us, like all other men. Women now have two very big problems. There's something called alpha widowed. Alpha widowed is like you find a woman, she dated a very good man in the past, so her heart is still with the man. So she's never outgrown that man. Like what you saw Will Smith's wife and Tupac.
Yes.
She's like the most famous like alpha widow because she's constantly referring to Tupac and all that, you know. So most men will go out, especially with women who are older, like over 25, you'll find like she... Over 25, yeah. You'll find like maybe she's had a man in the past, her heart is still there. So that's something that really frustrates men, that unafanya kila kitu, but the ex is still somewhere in there. And then the other thing that is really affecting women is what we call pair bonding. Most women now, especially in cities, they have what we call weak pair bonding ability. To pair bond is basically to meet a man and settle down and have a family with this man and you are contented. Is what makes like a species like survive and thrive. So what happens that najua kitambo, like our mothers, they used to marry, maybe they had one or two boyfriends. So it's easy to settle and then life goes on. But it's easy because women are taking longer to settle down.
They also do
it means that they're going to date more men.
Memories.
So when they date more men, you'll find that she's dated this rich Nigerian guy. She's dated this low guy who used to splash her with everything. She dated all sorts of men. So by the time she wants to settle down, maybe now she's in her late 20s or early 30s, all these expectations, she wants to lump them on one man. So you'll find as a man, you're doing your best for this girl, but your best is never good enough. So she's not satisfied. Like most men find it very difficult to satisfy a woman, like materially, sexually, socially, emotionally, you know. Like you find like now they tend to have more and more social, like those issues, zinawasumba. So that's what frustrates men. Because for a man, like you are fairly contented because you've not been ruined. Because also the more relationship you have, it's very easy to be ruined. Because if you're a man who quite broken na demu wa kwanza na wa pili, by watatu unapata you don't even respect women. There's a men who are like that, you know, because they've been, and you see for
character development imekuwa mingi.
Yeah, and for women, just to be brief, for women, as I say that as men we're the gatekeepers of relationships. So unapata ujamaa mwenye alikuwa anataka like yake alikuwa inapenda, ujamaa kumpenda. But still in her heart, she still wants that man. So that's something that's not very easy to detect unless now as a man you are aware that hii ndio shida na deal nayo. So that's unapata like you are a man, unalipia dem rent, umemchukua shule, umemfanyia kila kitu, like anything she wants, you do it. But still she's not contented. So it really frustrates men a lot. So that's something also to watch out for.
There's a possibility that they're also living in fantasy in terms of, who I was at 20 is not who I am right now. Somebody fantasizing about a relationship we had when I was 20 is really just kidding themselves, because even my thoughts are different, my words are different. But I think there's a way women will want to go back to that space sometimes, to that moment, yet they could be really wrong about that moment because some men have become really different people from what they were. Because I believe your character, changes a lot between your 20s and 30. A lot of things happen to you that can change you completely, give you a complete U-turn of your life.
Okay.
Yeah,
Jacob Aliet, Silas is dropping bombs. Walter Songa, KONES had a good life experience. Yes, I got life experience. Muriuki Mugendi, Silas is doing the Lord's work. Because I like that. Let us have standards, Jakavaliet. I would love to be there. Thanks. Karibu sana, Jakavaliet. We're looking forward to having you. Yes, you should come in when you come back. Kirudi in January. Jacob should be.
He has a very nice book, by the way, that one called
Unplugged. For me, that's the book of the year.
Unplugged.
Yeah.
It's the book of the year.
It should come.
All right.
It's slightly controversial.
It's not controversial. You see, we have to tell men these uncomfortable truths. But then let me tell you, we have to tell men this uncomfortable. The world is very brutal to men. Extremely, extremely very brutal to men. So we cannot take that the comforting lies. Oh, nini is dem atakupenda for who you are. No, it doesn't work that way. So we have to unlearn a lot of the things that we were taught by the church, by our parents, by the church in general. We have to unlearn those things. And I'm telling you, any man who read that book will never be the same man again.
Pastor Ezekiel. Jacob Aliat, recall that if a boss blunders, she will remain quiet. She blows up at you because she doesn't respect you. When she causes drama because of your error, she's pedantizing you by being masculine. From 2030, we shall alter the post-marriage era. Okay, interesting. That's Jacob Aliat. Bruce Jacob, post-marriage meaning people will not marry anymore. Sema watu wataacha kuoana from 2030. So kama hujaoa oa haraka. Kama hujaoa unataka kuoa, unasikia kuanzia 2030 mambo ya kuoana itakuwa tricky day. Bruce Alva Widow Jada Smith. Okay. Good evening, man. That's Jara Mudoni. Good evening to you. Great conversation. Many of them, once you bring them to the fold, shed off their sheepskin and grind your soul to dust. On watu wa kanisa, watu wa gidhomo. Nasema ukitoa kanisa, wanakuja wanageuka. Nasema anakuja tu anatoa hiyo kabuti ya kondoo, anakuwa hoof.
Enda kwa library boss.
Library.
Na uangalia anasoma nini kwanza.
This is a brilliant program for the tackle. On a Sunday, perfect. Well done. That is Atticus, not from the UK. Atticus, umepotea sana. I don't know if it's been a while. Perfect. Well done. General Salamu from London, UK. Baridi imetushika vibaya huko. Pole bwana. Nafuta mahali hivi. Silas atakwambia try look for company. Because will women ever get to a point they fear and come down from what they are these days? Don't care since men are disengaged. Will they beg men to marry them at some point? Hata kitabu Biblia wa Isaia inasema itafika wakati ambapo wanawake wangapi watakuwa nafuata mmoja akishika longi akiambia tafadhali.
We have to challenge men. See, we have to restart reinvesting in ourselves.
Okay.
And not just by having discussions like this and even discussions like this beyond spaces like this ones. Okay. In our homes, in our villages, men to men, even men who have gone before us and achieved certain things and are even alpha male need to give us their tips on life and things like that. And we need to start inputting into other men. We also need to start reading because women also do that a lot. They read, they empower themselves, they go to seminars, they do all those kind of things. And sometimes it looks like it's being a sissy when you're doing that, but really, information is knowledge.
Okay.
And if we sit there just imagining that things will fall into place while we let the world go by around us, we are going to get shocked. Okay. Because inside every man, there's a need still, even with all the things we may say about how, marriages are going to be dying and blah, 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 blah. There's still a need inside a man to have a companion.
So it is, especially for men.
There's a need. So you're hoping that if you can get a good one, then why not?
Just pray for a good person.
You can't just sit there and pray.
So now you have to work on yourself.
You have to work on yourself. You cannot just say, Father, show me the girl, Shazampa.
Father, fungua roho.
The days of
They'll always be good women who want marriage. Because the thing is that negativity sells, but out there actually the world works a bit differently. So I believe there's still good women out there. For men who want to marry, there's still good women out there. But maybe they might not be as beautiful as you want them to be. Maybe they might not be having those kind of.
But you know what, Silas? Let me tell you. That thing, by the way, that people say may not be as beautiful. I really think.
I'm talking about beauty in terms of the modern standards.
I know, but I also always feel this way. There's something about good women inside the heart.
That
begins to make them look beautiful. Which is why you see, somebody leaves what you would call, those A1 women, the ones for the magazines, the one who walking out of a magazine looking so nice. And then every woman will ask, but he ended up, did you see the woman he ended up with? Did you see the woman? They cannot see the beauty. But the guy can, because from the inside, it then oozes out. He begins to see this woman as a very beautiful mama.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
you see the thing with online, online has dulled our senses as men, because anytime you log in, there are women exposing their thighs, their boobs, so our senses are sort of like dulled, and then you tend to think like that's the standard, because like the 2010s were really the year of the slay queens, the Vera Sidikas, nini. So you find like now, some men might start to have those misplaced expectations that you need a woman who has this big buttock, someone who's like that and all that. But when you come down to it, you realize that zebras are very beautiful animals, isn't it? Zebras are very beautiful, aren't they? Like, a zebra is really, really a good animal. And the donkeys, they are a bit not so beautiful. But there's a reason why human beings kept donkeys and left the zebras
alone with all their beauty.
With all their beauty. That's the same principle that occurs in life. Like, maybe the kind of standards that the magazines and the internet has, those are not realistic standards. So you need to find someone that you can settle down and build a family with, and someone who wants to be there. And I believe there are those women.
And also, and I agree with you. I think also as you age, as time goes by, maybe that's one also, it's also good maybe to marry late. I think maybe it's proper to marry late. Because as you grow, you start looking at different things. When you're...
Marrying late isn't the only key. Marrying right.
But now
you can wait.
Look at it. Between before you were 30, the things that could mesmerize you about women were so different. About the bar, maybe the boobs or their looks and all that. That was what would knock you off. But now you may not even pay attention to these sort of online slay queens or these girls who dress, very pretty girls. But you might not like Silas was saying last week. It's not the person that you'd sit down with on a sober, like ile mnakunywa kahawa tu. Unajua bar mnaweza enda bar, mnamuziki kuna nini. But as you grow, you realize that you start looking for different things, conversations, unasema mambo ya roho, vile mtu ako ndani. Those are things that probably in your young age you will not see. You'll be excited about how someone looks, and then when you grow, unaangalia unashindwa how did I end up with this one. So that's what I'm saying, that it's also perspective helps you to make a choice. When your mind has settled down, you will not think again about the nightclubs. You don't think about my best that you show up and tell me, Silo, you start looking at the way that person nurtures and treats you, the way they are as a person, their character, their orientation, their aspiration, things they think about. I don't know. That's what I think. And the last thing for a man, actual beauty is one of the pettiest things to look. Well, not the
beauty is good because it's good to wake up. It should not be the only thing. It's good to wake up to someone you like to look at, and that's not a bad thing, because at least it's a plan. But then again, these are the things we are saying, and I think I should hasten to add that there's no person who comes completely self-made. Sometimes we may tell young men that way, and they may think, okay, so you'll wait, you'll get this very self-made woman, she'll do everything right, blah, 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 blah. I think one of the best ingredients you can get in any woman, and even you as any man, is the ability to be able to self-introspect and then change. Because marriages are full of give and takes, and they're very dynamic in so many places. I can't tell you how much of that give and take it has taken me to build my own marriage up to this point. Sometimes I look back at the things I was arguing about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and I marvel, Kweli, something's really changed. It's important to have somebody who is able to be able to make those changes with you, because there's two people. If you find that only one of you can make changes, then it doesn't work. Because there's you, there's them, and then there's what you build together and how it works out for the two of you in terms of your respect. One of the best ingredients you can have in any woman is a woman who has got the ability to see that she's wrong when she's wrong, and then to make amends for it. I think that, even as a one ingredient, can really patch a lot of things. But when you have those things where you have, these fights and wars, and you're constantly trying to assert yourself as a dude, trying to make this point. I am a guy. This is when we get that story of we are two men in the house, because you're constantly trying to make a point, and that point is just not entering. Then you find that
the point is not pointing.
Then you really have a problem, because it takes two. But how do you know that woman? You have to know her when you're dating, which is why we say now take time. And put that to, and it's not wrong to put a woman through a test. People did that a long time ago. Test this mama, annoy her, kasirikia her, and see how she behaves. Tell, let's throw some cardboards, come up with things, and then see who am I dealing with here. Because, they can only pretend. We are only Hollywood actors to a point.
Yeah, you cannot sustain
you can't
pretense.
sustain it.
And there's something Levi said last week, that what keeps a marriage or a relationship is the conversations that you have after sex.
Yes. Ikisha mnasemanga.
Ikisha sasa now, what are you talking about? So that's what keeps a relationship going. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And finally, talking about soko, what is the danger of marrying women who have overstayed in the market, maybe in their 30s?
The same thing I was talking about, pair bonding. But you see, someone can stay long in the dating scene, in the market, but they are living a very healthy lifestyle. That's also something that we have to. There are those women maybe they concentrate too much on their work. Like they made a misstep somewhere, which was in one relationship that went on for so long, but it never materialized. It never led into marriage. Yeah. So what you need to know is that how healthy she is, like psychologically. What you don't want. The thing with older women sometimes is too much baggage. Yeah. So anytime you go out with an older woman and then you realize that she has too much baggage, you want to steer clear of that. And you see baggage, something that you can hide. Baggage, it can be like some sketchy baby daddy in the somewhere. Maybe she didn't make proper moves. You can always say that a woman who overplayed herself. So that's what we need to observe. But as men, we're always advised that to go for younger women. Okay. Yeah, because sometimes a woman gets to somewhere in the 30s, she's too independent that you can never have a healthy relationship with her. Because now she's learned to do everything for herself. So even as a man now, you'll have to do so much to prove your worth in her eyes. So that's also another danger of like going for older women. Okay. Yeah.
So what do you think about soccer yourself, Levi?
I think I tend to agree with a lot of what SILAS has said. Especially on the part where he talks about the age. It's important to develop a healthy age boundary between you and your mama. I think 1 year is too kidogo. Even 2. Some guys, of course, have married up. They've gone, 5 years older than me. I did that. I dated a woman who was 4 years older than me. My friend. Nilipangwa kupangwa. But I don't want to use my example as to say all of them are bad. But I just say, you begin with a healthy boundary of respect that comes just from age alone. It already gives you a good starting block with which you can now, lay on the cinder blocks as you continue. But when you reduce that, and that's already something that you can actually walk into a relationship already having by virtue of how old you are, then you reduce that to begin with. You just make the battle a little bit more harder for yourself for no reason at all. Okay. So if you're a guy and you're 35, you should be looking at a 27, 28-year-old mama.
Okay.
Honestly speaking. If you start looking at a 34-year-old,
Mataka karibu soko sasa. Aya, Bruce, women Haya.
Pambani.
Haya. Chris Limo, great conversation. Asante Sarah. Bruce, when it comes to marriage, men don't care about looks and much. We want beauty in kind, beauty in care for our kids, and beauty on how they relate with our people and the society. Jacob, marrying when you have a masculine frame is of greater priority than marrying the right women. Okay, that is another one from Aliet. Controversy. Owen Job and say, a great and insightful discussion on behalf of the boy child. I find this discussion to be an eye-opener. SILAS and 20 thumbs up, SARS and LEVI KONES. I propose to share this info with my sons when they are old enough to undertake this life hack. Asante sana. Moshani Musongo. Moshani Musongo, is 10 years a good range? Say 30 and 40 years.
Where tupatie mpaka nini?
Specific.
2 elections.
Labda mmeguza
10 years, 10 years can be quite a huge difference, especially for a man. What I've noticed, like older men who marry younger women, most of the time it ends badly.
Usiende sana pia.
Usiende sana. So if you are in your 50s, you want someone.
Yeah, you can't go marry somebody who wants to go out on a Friday night na wewe unataka kulala na hot water bottle.
Bwana unataka kama.
You know also you.
Alafu ananuna kusema mwenyewe.
You want uji and the person who anataka
mama anakuambia sasa anataka kwenda out, mambo usifunge mlango. Usifunge ya chini.
Usifunge ya chini ngojea. Unaambia nini nimekuwekea sweta yako? Kuna thermos.
Normally they say that between 5 to 7 years maximum the difference. So if you're in your mid 30s, you want someone who's just maybe 27, 28 up. If you're in your 40s, you want someone in their 30s, because at 40 now you are healthier, you are mature as a man, you are stable, so you can even handle a woman who's in her 30s. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just go ahead. That's the question why they would have one would want the other one, of course. I'll just go through the comments very quickly, then we finish up. James Chomba, sasa brother umeamua kubomoa boma za wenyewe. Ongeza hapo pia disclaimer and participate at your own risk. Okay. Nipo nyama katasi bro katasi. Okay, with the same thing saying men are looking it's saying men are looking for a place where they feel they are treated well, they are taken care of. Bindi Moran, that's how men destroy a good relationship, because they just love the chase and excitement of the new. Okay, if having too many wives will make man responsible and hard work to take care of them, but having one wife you become lazy. Okay. John, nobody eats midday. Regardless if you fry it, boil it, do choma. There comes a time the body will desire cabbage. Okay. Even God said man cannot live by bread alone. Governor Steve, if Adam had 2 wives, who am I to have one? Okay, interesting observations, yeah. Kevin Kechepkonga Chesanga said, peace is key in capital. Peace is key. Someone will we need to fill the world, to have as many generations as someone in the biblical verse. MC, sometimes it's generic. Other way, men want peace. Maybe the main lady is just on bill. Sometimes too, it's just lust. And when a man has been poor and at some point of life makes money, it compromises many things. Ronald kasema, hii nikichangia nitaumia. Cheruta, we are polygamous by nature. Korea Victor, usually it's about fulfilling an urge, and each varies with men. But all I know, all males have a straying gene. Okay, Vincent. When it's not secure with the current marriage, ladies pretend until they get first child. Boom, they reveal how evil they are. Saitani ashindwa kabisa pepo mbaya. Second wife solves past demons. Okay, past dents. Understandably, whenever a man educates and brings up children to full age, if the man doesn't have his own money, wealth is treated like a stranger by the woman and children. The reason for a second wife. Last one, some of the many opportunities. Okay, so the case kama yupo kwenye mood, unapata mahali pa kujisitiri. Ya pili, mwanaume anafikiria seksi mara 5 kwa siku, ilali mwanamke mara 5 kwa mwezi. Mmoja awatoshelezi hiyo hamu. Ya tatu, akiwa mwenzini yuko mchafu na hawezi muingia, sasa unakimbilia kwa wapili. Ene kwako kukiwaka moto unakimbilia kwingine kupoe ndio urudi. Ya tano, dini inaruhusu. Mambo ya Kipwaja anasema kisirani ndio mingi. Haya, Mwenda pia anasema ongeza kwa hiyo Mondi will explain it better. Hiyo ni ambassador wa polygamy. Viva polygamy. Richard, there's a curiosity. Men are curious creatures. They look for different things. Sexual incompatibility is sometimes a force. Okay? Geoffrey Ogoro Kenyoru, peace. Kipkalia Arab Koske. It's kindness. I thought it's a beautiful body. Yes, men are attracted to beauty, women, and get turned on effortlessly. One ashword from a beautiful body can deflate his erection and make his libido collapse. If there's anyone men experience ashwords and criticism more, it is in marriage. Yet that is where they need kindness the most. If married men are chasing you around as a single lady, perhaps you are innocently showing them too much kindness. You should withdraw it and send back to their wives. Hey, okay. You often wonder why a man with a beautiful woman at home will chase after lady is not half as beautiful as his wife. I've seen it a number of times. and I was amazed. The side attraction or side chick isn't as loaded front and back as the wife, yet the man is chasing her hard and almost killing himself for her. To the man, she is the most beautiful woman in the universe. What makes the difference? It is just the kindness she shows him, with which wife is lacking. Okay, we all respond to kindness. I have seen some odd women become tender towards me and act so sweet, so gentle, so submissive, so affectionate and generous. One was chasing me up and down to give me something precious despite declining profusely. Kindness unlocks the heart of everyone. I think it's coming back to the thing, they treat you kindness and all that. I think that is majorly what the balance is all about. Men don't appreciate what they have. Tamaa tupu. I usually look for a beautiful one. Mwenye atanishtua hadi. Okay. Curiosity for balance. As a member of comment, okay. Instead of cheating with multiple partners, better marry 1 to 3 and stay faithful. Okay. I don't know if there's any other comment. There's a lot of comments here. I wish I could read all of them. But yeah, mambo kidogo ni kama masaa itaruhusu. Haya. What do you have to say? Levi.
I think you see men are, from those comments, you see like men really have so much to share. And the idea is not that all of us agree in these things. The idea is to learn. Yeah. So you can see from the responses. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
All of us want kindness. The world is a very harsh place, and home should be a safe space where when you go, you really feel at home.
Okay. You feel at home. Not Baghdad, Beirut.
I think it's good. Just like I say, the conversation needs to be had. We need to start. I agree with Silas. We don't all have to agree, but we do have to have an open mind and a willingness to accept a new idea that may be better than the idea that we have. Because even when we speak here, we don't speak here as experts of any kind. Yeah. We're also just going through the same spaces of life and, observations and seeing what men are going through and then just giving feedback on what we're also seeing, sometimes even undergoing, And you know how they say sometimes pastor anakuja kuomba na anasema my lovely wife and things are not really happy at home. But anakaza mwendo. Yeah? So in the same manner, because, these things happen to dudes of all caliber, men. I cannot even tell you how many men I have seen. High-level men, I talk even to border riders. We've had conversations, and I like to have conversations a lot. Tumekana msewa border, mnaongea kudogo kuhusu relationship. It tells you something about how his mama is frustrating him. You realize it's similar to yours.
What wanafanana?
You realize it's similar to yours. You realize even the guy living in the Mabati house, he's got your problem. The guy living in Runda, he's got your problem. It's meant to be able to see a place where they can be able to have a chat with each other. If you were to have a discussion with men in the quietness, you see a guy, amekaa pale haongei, ako tu kwa jam, yani, sometimes even it comes out in road rage. You're pissed off because of a parking spot, and so pissed off, people are wondering what is the problem with you. But you're carrying so many of these things. You're mad at your marriage. You're mad with the kids are going. You're mad about how your lady boss is driving you crazy. You're mad that you're not getting opportunities like the women are getting. You're just mad because you're feeling like, as a man, you're pressed down. So these conversations, we need to have them. Why? Because we are the ones exploding as well. All the stories about men are not also helping us. We men do something wrong. It's splashed on page 2 of our daily papers. It's number 1 on the headline news. We are we are there, yani, front page. If they do it for a woman, they will always add the disclaimer that maybe the man was a bit of a violent person or something like that, and they'll be quick to mention mental health. But for men, not so much. Men are just crazy men just trying to be out there and do crazy things. So we have to take care of each other, and not in a way to make each other weak or to make each other simps. In a way to build each other up, and also not to make each other toxic as well. Because there's also there's a leaning now towards an extreme toxicity of men as well, which is also not also helping the balance of things, where the only thing that's getting out there is just be tough, be hard, just, lay down the law and make sure that nobody, blah, blah, blah. And that's also not very helpful. So we have to balance these things out. And people especially, lastly, especially guys who are in the church. I want to speak to church guys and church men today. Maze?
Yeah.
Change tact.
Yeah,
change tact and change tact quick. Because one of the spaces where the men are suffering the most are in church because we are throwing too much of the good book at them and not using real life situations to solve problems. I cannot tell Silas here to go read Ephesians 4 in relation to what is happening between him and his mama. We have to have a discussion. And these people who are doing this counseling and talking to people, especially in the church arenas, must they change tact?
Yeah. Haya, toa nje peleka kanisa. Anachua wasoko alafu unapeleka unaenda sasa kuombea sasa pole.
That's true. And also pastors, you know, we don't have pastors who are pastoring to men. Pastors who are telling men the hard truths about life. Pastors who are telling men to hold their wives accountable. You know, the church, that thing of, you know, they're preaching of forgiveness, you know, tolerance. It sort of like takes away the standards that we should have. So you find like it's very easy to manipulate or take advantage of a man who goes to church. So we also need like pastors to come out strongly and talk to men. Like this thing, talk about the red pill out here, it has to be introduced in church. Because also church is another place where we've thrown all the standards out. The church, like I'm an SDA, this used to be a very conservative church. But
you've gone hammer and tongs on them tonight.
It's no longer like the conservative church. That it was, you know, the conservative bit of the church, like it was for the values, so that a family can only thrive where there are values. Because the church was teaching us about hard work, you know, decency. You know, the church is no longer like a decent place. I saw people throwing fists in a pulpit in our church. In all my life, I would never have imagined that happening like in our main church. You know, so yeah, we need like pastors pastoring to men. We're focused on women so much, we've forgotten about men. So we also need pastors that were and ministering to men. Yeah.
Nao ndio anauziwa nini sana. Inaitwa nini? Anauziwa the holy water and the holy oil. Yeah, ndio anapakwa sana. Anyway, all right. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Unfortunately, now we're taking a break for the holidays. Tunaenda. We end holiday. Turudi, I think we come and talk about divorce. Tunasema there's a lot of issues on divorce. Why are people divorcing? It becomes so, and it's common. Kitambo ulikuwa ukisikia watu wanawachana. Mazi it was an issue, and it was kwani amwezi fix. Squeeze someone just wakes up in the morning and goes, morning, I want a divorce, and kama anaitisha chai. And people divorce on life.
And you know, did you know that most divorces are initiated over holidays?
Aye.
You know, now between now
and
January, just this holiday mood is going to cause a lot of divorces. Ask us why next year.
And next year we speak about divorce and the stability of marriages and the viability and all that. I think another thing also that has been coming up pretty much about men is men and sexuality. Speaking about men who are now prefer to be women.
Oh.
And all that. It's another discussion. Maybe
and
that would be very controversial, but people are asking that we speak on it.
Yeah.
I speak on that. And also when you come, we also talk about Simpsons.
We're talking about side B dudes.
Yes, side B. We'll talk about Simpsons. The Simps. The man who simp. Simpsons. Let's come and talk about here. Man. Until then, enjoy your holidays. Enjoy your Madaraka. Jamhuri. Enjoy your Jamhuri Day tomorrow. And we'll catch you again on the tackle on Tuesday on the State of the Nation. It is men only. We've been with SILAS NYANCHWANI, and LEVI KONES or LEVI KONES, depending on where you come from.
Yeah. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Yeah. Let's get out and cheer for France on
Team Argentina
on Tuesday.
It will be an injustice if Messi retires without a World Cup.
Yeah, French team.
All right, you're wishing them Merry Christmas.
None of us have mentioned the African team. But anyway.
Yeah, and also let's tell men to adopt very healthy lifestyles. They stop going hard on alcohol, you know. picking healthy lifestyle, like let them make that a resolution for next year.
Wasikunywe.
You know, in
Very good
moderation.
point. And that's a point you have to come and talk about one day. Men and addiction. You know, it's not helpful.
We have an alcohol problem in this country.
We have an alcohol problem, yeah.
And part of the reason like women are really outperforming men is that we're really indulging a lot.
Yeah.
So that's something also that we need to discuss.
Slow down. This holiday, slow down also on the roads. Yesterday, there was a really nasty accident up on Jogo Road. There's a guy who wrapped himself around two electric poles. Did you see that?
Where? I didn't say.
Electric poles, he hit 2 of them. Wow. Rolled and he checked out. Wow. Slow down literally during this time.
So the guy is gone.
You know, already men, we already have a very, very bad life expectancy. Let's not shorten it ujinga over this December. Don't shorten it.
Whatever you do, ensure that you stay alive. Whatever you do, try and stay alive. Books for men to read, that is from Edwin. Buy Unplugged from Aliet. Buy There's No SILAS Experience from Levi. And also buy now as books. Buy 50 memos to men. Or you also buy SEXORCISED. But SEXORCISED.
No, buy the memos first.
Ununua memo kwanza. Kabla hujaenda kwa...
Hiyo SEXORCISED soma on the...
kama sutra.
For dudes, buy the memos
50 memos to men. And then you also get Unplugged ukibweza na there is no SILAS experience. Ndio sasa ujisamee. Unajua sasa hapo unajikonsole. Unajua unajikonsole na unasema unamaliza sasa leo unasema there is no SILAS experience. Thank you so much. God bless you. See you again soon. Bye-bye. This has been Men Only. And we've been with Levi and SILAS. Until next time, we love you. Bye-bye.